Hey everyone, this is Richard, and welcome back to my journal. Today I'm going to add an addendum to the journal entry I posted last night on E. Jean Carroll and her claims of defamation and sexual misconduct against President Donald Trump. I've rethought some things here and there, and I just wanted to add this. Secondly, we have news. The jury did not need to deliberate for very long. They went away to talk. They came back rather quickly with a verdict. It's a unanimous verdict. It's also a mixed verdict. So E. Jean Carroll was claiming that Donald Trump engaged in rape. She's also claiming that Donald Trump engaged in sexual misconduct, assault, and she's claiming that he defamed her on Truth Social by saying something to the effect, this is a massive hoax, and she is an inveterate liar. It's all part of the witch hunt. So that was apparently a defamation, and according to E. Jean Carroll, she got her life back via this verdict. I spoke with the group about this on our members-only group podcast, you could say. So if you aren't subscribed, I would recommend that you do that. And I actually did talk through this with someone who has a legal mind, and I think I kind of nuanced my views on it a little bit. I obviously stand behind what I said but 24 hours ago, but I just wanted to add a little more nuance. I was stressing last night that this whole defamation case probably shouldn't see the light of day in the sense that you are mixing different thresholds. So the threshold for a crime, rape and sexual assault are obviously crimes, is beyond a reasonable doubt, but then we're moving. This is a civil trial. It's not a criminal trial. And in such a trial, it is the threshold is more likely than not. So I did feel like this was rather contradictory. Now, my interlocutor did mention something that is very important. That is that there can be civil trials, even if there's no civil trials involving what would seem to be a criminal matter, even if that person was not put up forward in a criminal trial, and even if he were found not guilty. And in fact, there's an extremely famous example, and that is the O.J. Simpson trial. So, as I'm sure you know, O.J. Simpson was found not guilty in what I think most everyone feels to be a miscarriage of justice back in the 1990s. He was found liable for wrongful death in a civil trial, and I think that decision might have led to a lot of his undoing. Although, whatever you want to say about OJ, he seems to be back on his feet, putting forth Twitter videos, making bold, inaccurate predictions on NFL football. It's a rather surreal experience watching those. But anyway, the whole point is that he was found not guilty and a civil trial proceeded. So perhaps I was kind of overdoing it in stressing that there's this, kind of inherent contradiction. I still do think there are contradictions to this. I mean, it is very obvious that this is a political hit job, that it is motivated by politics. It's funded by Reid Hoffman, among others. He of Netflix fame. It involves Roberta Kaplan. I mean, I don't really need to go on. That being said, I do believe E. Jean Carroll when she claims that something happened in Bergdorf's in the mid-90s involving Donald Trump, and that Donald Trump was behaving like Donald Trump. I do think that is most likely correct. So in New York, rape is defined by inserting the penis in a non-consensual manner into the vagina. That is rape. Now, there are other forms of sexual misconduct, obviously, assaults and harassment and all those kinds of things. So the jury decided that more likely than not, Donald Trump did not rape E. Jean Carroll. And I think that they were probably onto something with that. One of the reasons that I do think that E. Jean Carroll is telling the truth is the scenario that she recounted in her memoir. It just seems very plausible. I can see something like this happening. Donald Trump is a star, in his estimation. He's hanging out at some fancy department store. He sees this pretty girl. One thing leads to another, and Donald Trump acts like Donald Trump. So it seems plausible. She didn't come up with some hair-raising scenario that is just a bit too much to be believed, particularly due to the fact that she did not make a criminal complaint when it happened. Now, she did talk to two friends whom this happened to. She did talk to two friends, and they corroborated her story, so there's that. But she described a scenario that just simply seems plausible. But the jury didn't believe her that she was raped, and she did claim that she was raped. And thus, when Donald Trump says this was a, massive hoax and con job and things like that, couldn't you say that in a way he's right? I mean, the jury, or couldn't you say that the jury in a way agrees with him? They are basically calling E. Jean Carroll a liar. They are saying that no, it's not even beyond a reasonable doubt. It's more likely than not you were not raped, and yet you are claiming to have been raped, and we don't believe you. You could say that. I do think that there remain inherent contradictions to this kind of verdict. Now, the legal person who I spoke to also mentioned something important with regard to the OJ situation, and that is that claims against intentionality don't happen very often. These kinds of things, these civil trials are mostly going to happen regarding wrongful death or injury or whatever, when in effect they're covered by insurance. So if someone dies at the factory where he works, there's obviously not an intent to kill him. It's not that kind of criminality. But there are insurance programs that can cover this, so that there is some restitution. The family or something is made whole. Now, there obviously can be no rape insurance for the perpetrator, in the sense of, I want to, maybe Andrew Tate would want to take out such a program, who knows? But so it just becomes less likely that someone's going to pay, and that's just the beginning of kind of the difficulties of situations like this. So this kind of intentional liability and defamation, this strikes me as quite novel. And I don't think that, and to be honest, I really don't think it should hold up. Obviously, Trump's going to appeal. He has a lawyer that's used to who's used to this kind of stuff. And it just still, the whole thing just strikes me as so convoluted that I find it a little bit difficult to take seriously. Also, I think I mentioned last night that, this sets a precedent and it can be used in other different cases. It could be used against people who aren't as wealthy and powerful as Donald Trump. It does set a precedent, but I'm not sure it would be, because I think this was a fairly unique case that was constructed. It was a novel case constructed by Roberta Kaplan, among others. And it's just so obviously politically motivated that I'm not sure it's going to really be tried again. This is the way of using the court system as opposed to the ballot box, or using the court system as a way of punishing a political opponent. Now, in Trump's case, we did actually use the ballot box, and he lost pretty bigly.